Fry, legendary badass, not shy, telling you how it is, Fry will die.
Folks, I'm gonna go on about another thing that I like. And it is a TV series. You're gonna think it's kind of related to Cowboy Bebop because it's sci-fi and space. Heck, this one's more about cowboys than Cowboy Bebop. I'm talking about Firefly, the space western. This series came and went quietly in 2002. Didn't even get a full season on Fox. I didn't even hear about it until 2007. See, back in high school, I had a thing called a job, and didn't have time for any television. No, I didn't, because, the government likes to say homework's perfectly legal. Yeah, these kids are going to be expected to have jobs, too, and play sports. They got time for homework and relationships, right? So, never heard anything about Firefly. Movie Serenity comes and goes. Saw a few ads for it on TV back in the day, '05. I think it was a box office failure despite getting pretty positive reception from critics and fans alike. And I did see Serenity first and thought it was better than Star Wars Episode 3, but it had problems. I realized it was based on a TV show. At times the production value was very TV show-esque. It didn't look like a full-blown movie, feature film, blockbuster presentation. Worthy of any kind of substantial budget, but I also didn't care for kick-ass chick syndrome, typical of creator Joss Whedon. River Tam, one of the characters, is just like a reprogrammed ass-kicking gal in the movie, and I feel that not only was the fighting lacking as far as choreography, but it was silly to think that she could do any of that stuff. And that did drag down the movie. But there was people talking about it in my film classes, so I check it out, and not even in order at first, and eventually I do watch the series in order. And this is a remarkably good TV series, folks. I mean, it's a shame that it went down the way it did, but in the same regard as Cowboy Bebop being short, I can appreciate quickly all that there is to offer. If this was a long show, you'd have to be like, well, by season 7 they ran out of ideas. Mwah. We've seen that happen before, haven't we? No, this is tight and concise. I feel like there is one weaker episode of the group. Something about going home. There's this soldier who used to work with Mal, who is the roguish captain of the Firefly class ship Serenity. And he, transported his body. He's carrying organs that he stole, or he's trying to steal, whatever. And there's this, last words by him that just keep repeating, they lost value. You devalue anything when you repeat it. You keep saying, well, if you can't get home, you gotta get someone to carry you, something like that. By the time we got to his funeral, I was like, about time. But most of the episodes are stellar. The show works on a principle of villain of the week, but sometimes they recur. Sometimes you see somebody twice. They were shown out of episode sequence on Fox. I think that hurt matters. They didn't have the 2-hour pilot movie format as the true pilot broadcast, so I think people found that as jarring, but you could watch most of these episodes out of sequence because of the villain of the week setup for the most part, but the characters establish early on who they are, and they don't change much, but they stay incredibly enjoyable and engaging. So, you got the doctor, he has the hots for the engineer, Kaylee. They say cute things, they say funny stuff. Inara, she's the companion / whore being traveled across the verse, whatever they They don't look like they're going very fast, but they travel to a great number of planets in a short period of time. And they can all inhabit people and stuff, so they sustain life. But it's just a good group. And when you have a good group that you care about, you can sit through, well, they're going to get the comeuppance of the bad guy. Like, they land somewhere and you can tell who the bad guy is. Yep, he looks evil. Yep, they're going to think that River's a witch. Things like that. I didn't mind the stories. I thought that they were really cool. It was nice how they have spaceships, and yet these people outside the Central Alliance, they're just covered wagons and horses. I think some of them still using pistols. But it's a nice original setup. And from my understanding, part of how the show failed was in the marketing. Now keep in mind that in the early 2000s, you're still sitting with some of that late 90s syndicated action where everything was goofy and not to be taken seriously, giant foam props, bad effects. And people probably thought that's what they were getting into with this. If you saw the promotional campaign, you probably thought it was a syndicated program airing Saturday afternoons. And it wasn't. The special effects are remarkable for TV. There's some very sophisticated shots. Like, they are inside the ship looking out through the cockpit in a way that you only see out of something like Aliens, the Alien films, where they actually have a budget to mat all that properly and do the composite work. And a lot of it still holds up pretty well on TV today. You can catch it in HD. It streams on Netflix. Though it says it's not in HD there, it's sort of up-converted. If you hit the display button, it'll say it's running in 720p, and it looks about appropriate to that guess. It's 16 episodes of fun, traveling with some scallywags, kicking butt, smuggling. You know, it doesn't play the role of what I say with Game of Thrones, where it's like, let's sex it up, let's hyper-violence it up, make it more mainstream. This is one of the best sci-fi shows around, and you've probably heard about it, you've probably seen all the episodes, but if you haven't, check out Firefly.
Do 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 do.